What's good, fam? This your main man, KCFL, King Self for Life, Wrestling the Takes, here to give you my honest thoughts about Smackdown and Rampage. But before we do that, we got to talk about Mr. Seth Rollins. Word on the street is he has a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus. Now, the word is that there is hope that him and CM Punk is still down, but on Monday Night Raw they will address it. So that's all we need to know. We just want to be in the know. And like I said, if it's worse than what everybody is saying, I'm praying for the man, praying for a speedy recovery. But if he can still go, and this is just all part of the storyline, by all means, do what they need to do. Like I said, because this is just unfortunate timing that he got hit with this. That's why I say wrestling. People be always talking about pro wrestling is fake. No, it's predetermined. It's not really fake. It's predetermined. Just like pro sports are predetermined, pro wrestling is predetermined. Cats still got to go out there and get physically involved with one another. They still got to get in the ring and do crazy, outlandish moves just to quote-unquote entertain us. So these fools that be running around talking about wrestling is fake, I tell them, yeah. And so same thing for pro sports. Just like basketball, just like hockey, just like baseball, just like football, tennis, golf, UFC, you name it. It's all the same thing. If you really want to go there, I'll go there with you. It's all scripted at the end of the day. Every single thing we see in our entire lifetime is all scripted. So I don't want to hear this foolishness. Every time somebody say, oh, pro wrestling is fake. Yep, and so is everything else. So that's all I'm going to say on that. All right, let's talk about it. What I talk about SmackDown? Man, SmackDown, listen, man, it's difficult to try to describe SmackDown as a late because SmackDown has really been in a period of ups and downs. They're trying to get people invested in the bloodline. Just the continuation of the bloodline storyline. You got 3 number 1 contenders gunning for Roman Reigns. That's the big storyline. I knew the moment when all 3 of these heads got involved. I told everybody, your main event or your main title picture for the Undisputed World Championship, Universal Championship, was going to be a fatal 4-way. I just knew it. Sure enough, here we are. Now, the way how normal contract signings are, usually everybody and their grandma must be out there. Every person that's involved must be out there. And before they sign, every member is out. They said, no, what we're going to do, we're going to have everybody come out, sign individually. And that's exactly what happened. LA Knight came out there. He signed. Randy Orton came out there. He signed. AJ Styles came out and he signed. I said, dang, nobody's talking yet. They just basically had everybody sign ahead of time. Well, now we're waiting on the main man himself. And he sends out the lap dog, the puppy dog, the goofy guy, the circus clown, the fool, the whatever you want to call him, the wise man. He sends out Paul Heyman. I'm like, what this fool doing out here? I said, we in Atlanta. And you telling me that Roman ain't there? This ain't making no freaking sense. But word is the boy was there because later on we're going to find out exactly what he was doing. He was making a TikTok while all of this foolishness was going on. Yes, you hear me correctly. Roman Reigns was filming a TikTok while all this clown foolishness was going on. So he come out there. Nick Aldis tell that clown, man, tell that fool to get his behind up out. Listen, I'm putting it in my own words. Tell that fool to get his behind up out here. If not, he going to have to vacate that championship, and it's just going to be the 3 of them battling it out at the Royal Rumble for the championship. Paul Heyman started saying a whole bunch of foolishness that didn't make no type of sense. So with all this stuff going on, the 3 of these boys started getting into it, and it was used as a distraction because then Jimmy Uso came out of nowhere, and everybody turned their attention to Jimmy, and they was not looking at Solo. Solo came out of nowhere, started thumbing folk left and right, and it was pretty much setting up a main event for later on. I believe it was supposed to be Randy Orton and Solo in the main event. But they're basically trying to get you excited for the Fatal 4-Way because anybody and their grandma could win this. Anybody. Or for the man, anybody and their grandfather could win this. It was okay. Like I said, they trying to go different routes on the contract signing because it feels like everything has been practically done concerning contract signing. Cat signed the thing, they signed the contract, and then chaos happened. It's like, all right, let's go a different route. Let's have everybody sign before all the chaos hits. Usually, cats sit down, they say what they got to say, and then boom, chaos happens. They signed the doggone contract. So all 3 of them signed, but where this fool Roman at? That's all we're trying to figure out. So we seen the not LA Knight. Logan Paul was in the building because obviously he was going to be on the Kevin Owens show for later on. So now we got Latino World Order, which is Carlito, Cruz del Torre, and Joaquin Wild versus Legado del Fantasma 2, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, and Santos Escobar. This is the second installment of LDF. This is an eye match. You know, let me tell y'all something. I don't know how y'all feel about this. I was talking with this with my brother. Shout out to Young Key. Shout out to Marquise over there. Listen, we was having this discussion about, since they be having all these factions in WWE now, it feels like there's a huge possible opportunity for Triple H and them to quote unquote introduce trios championships for WWE. I'm sitting up here saying, well, if the tag teams are stuck over on Raw, I'm like, all right, develop the tag team over in Raw land. We got all these factions in SmackDown. I'm like, I don't know. How about you go ahead and make some trios championships for SmackDown? Now you got people gunning for something instead of just having cats beefing for absolutely no reason. I get it. These cats used to be down with the LWO and then they left. One got to blame Rey Mysterio. Now he got some new cats that's been basically stuck in NXT land doing absolutely nothing. Now we got this Latino warfare going on. I'm like, I don't know. We got Bobby and the Street Profits. We got Clock Boy and AOP lining themselves together. So I'm sitting up here saying, we got all these factions going on, these trios factions. We might need to go ahead and introduce some trios titles, so maybe we can possibly start getting more, because they do trios matches dang near every week. Triple H has heavily been watching, he's been studying Tony Khan. Let me tell you something. Tony Khan, look, a lot of people be making fun of Tony Khan, and yes, you got every right to, because Tony Khan sometimes he set himself up because some of the stuff he be doing just don't make no type of sense. But with all the trios matches Tony Khan be having, and I'm sitting here like, well, Triple H is so, you don't remember trios matches like this heavy in WWE land. Triple H has definitely been watching and taking little bits and pieces of what Tony Khan is doing. That's why I say fools need to understand pro wrestling cats are going to take from everybody. Just like Tony Khan take little things that took place in WWE land. Scott D'Amore takes stuff that happened in ECW and New Japan, and it's like everybody take from everybody. And you know, in some cases that's okay. But I'm like, what do y'all think? Y'all think it's time to introduce trios titles so now we can have cats actually going for stuff instead of just beefing for absolutely no reason? Because I get it, you're trying to get people invested in these factions or whatever, but if they beefing for absolutely no reason, why are we tuning in? That's basically what I'm thinking. I'm like, maybe it might be time to start introducing some trios titles for the SmackDown side of things, since we got the tag team titles are stuck over on Raw land. That's what I'm thinking. But Legado del Fantasma 2, they won. They Humberto pinned, Santos Escobar pinned Carlito. And you know one thing about Legado del Fantasma and them, man, I like my man Santos Escobar's theme song. That beat go in, man. I don't know about y'all, but that beat go in. I like it. We get Pretty Deadly was talking bull jive, talk about they get stuck, they get to go against they get to go against Tyler Bate and the revamping of Mr. Peter Dunne. They was just be saying a whole bunch of bull jive that didn't make no type of sense. So then we got cut back. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits cut a promo on Carry On crossing them in Final Testament. And I'm like this. Do y'all really want us to get invested in Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits? We should, listen, they should have been established a long time ago. But again, I tell y'all every day, Ace and them don't have the slightest clue on what to do with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. We gave them a doggone name. Look, you could have easily called them the Hurt Profits, or you could have called them Street Business or something. We calling these boys the Pride, and then we calling Carry On's crew the Final Testament, like this some kind of Bible or something like that. I'm like, man, look, I don't know. H of them, he got to come up with some better names, man, because I'm not feeling either one of these names, to be honest with you. I ain't feeling the Final Testament, and I'm not feeling the Pride, but that's just me. So then we get a British Strong Style, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. The return of Pete Dunne is here. Great. No more Lemmy Adams Scoop. No more Butch. That stuff is out the door. And Pretty Deadly basically got destroyed. They got their fingers broke, which was exactly what Pete Dunne does all day. Come on down to the Tyler Bates show. I'm telling you, listen, for me, this might have been the best part of the whole show outside of all the foolishness that's going on with Roman and them. But I can say Pete Dunne has returned. I loved it. I thought this was great. Kudos to Triple H and that's on doing something decent for a change. Now, let's talk about it. Kevin Owens show. I gotta be 1,000% with you. I can't stand Logan Paul. I don't get nothing. I don't get one rat's behind about him. Kevin Owens tried everything in his power to make this segment feel cool. Just get to the matchup. I'm done with everything these two are trying to do. He messed up that man's wrist again because he took his doggone wrist thing off, said a whole bunch of bull jive that didn't make no type of sense. And now we just basically got the matchup. So you know what's going to happen. You already know Kevin Owens is going to lose because that title is unfortunately being saved for a certain dude named LA Knight. That's all I'm going to say about that. We got, Pretty Dead was backstage talking some foolishness, whatever. So after that, we finally had Roman show up. So Roman really was backstage. Him, Jim, Solo, all of this, and Roman basically trying to quote unquote get control of everything. And he was looking at Jimmy, and then Solo stepped up and said, "Don't worry, you place me in control. I'll handle you in tonight." He said you tried to handle him all right. We'll get there. Now, Caden and Carter basically are holding these tag team titles for you know who, the Kabuki Warriors. They're transitional champions. I'm like, Triple H, why you put the titles on them just for them to be transitional? You wanted us to get behind these two girls, and more than likely, you know they're getting ready to lose to you know who. So they went against, and then this other faction. I feel bad for these girls right here. Alba Fire and Isadon. I was like, you could have just left them on NXT with the NXT Women Tag Team titles and let them cook down there. Nope. We brought these Illuminati demonic girls up, yes, because you know what their gimmick stands for. I'm saying it. You brought these satanic Illuminati girls up, and they've done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm like, you want somebody to get behind somebody, and all they do is lose all day or never show up. So Katen and Katana and Katen went against them, and they beat them. And the whole time, you had Bailey and the girls out on commentary basically saying they keeping them titles warm for them, which is true. Because obviously next week the matchup is about to take place. The Kabuki Warriors. I believe that's Asuka and Kairi Sane. Asuka and Kairi Sane are basically going to become your next women's tag team champions. It's a setup. And Bailey was running her mouth talking about she going to win the Royal Rumble and go against Rhea. You know that's not happening. Now, here's the deal. If she wins it, she ain't going after Rhea. It's a setup. It's a complete setup because we know what the title picture going into WrestleMania is going to be for the women from the SmackDown side of things. It's going to be Io Sky versus Bayley. You might as well pistol in there because that's where we're going. So, backstage, you got Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Mia Yim trying to talk to AJ. Now, this is kind of messed up because the three of them are still baby faces while he trying to play heel. Don't know which way they trying to go with them, but that's basically what he's trying to do with them. Then you had Karrion Kross address Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, basically said that all they are jokes, which is true because that's basically how they've been presented. They've been presented as jokes, and unfortunately Karrion Kross has been presented as a joke too. So talk about calling the kettle black. That's that. So then you had Carmelo Hayes talking with Nick Aldis again, as if he's already officially on SmackDown, and then Austin Theory pulled up. Now, by the grace of God, neither one of these two paralyzed one another, which is great. I think they said it was just a face contusion, which, man, let's I say, pro wrestling, you got to be careful. One little signal move and you're done. Because last week, it's funny how Austin Theory was quote-unquote trying to blame Carmelo Hayes, but when you go and you look at the move, it was Austin Theory who did the move. I don't know where he got that foolishness from, but that's what they was doing. So they're going to run it back. They're going to try to do the match again next week. And that's that. And it's funny how Grayson Waller actually pushed Austin Theory out there to do it. So I don't know where they're going. I don't know if Triple H is trying to break them up. But, I mean, that's how it is. It's like 1 minute you with somebody, the next minute you trying to break somebody up. And speaking of Mr. Grayson Waller, that fool went on, him and LA Knight, they went on some show out there in Australia. And Grayson Waller, let me tell y'all something. I am not a fan of Grayson Waller at all, but I got to give that man props. That man know how to quote-unquote keep kayfabe alive. Now, the host was basically disrespecting him by having John Cena music play. LA Knight was just sitting there cool and say like, "Hey man, handle your business, do what you got to do." And he was getting up there acting like he was ready to beat the brakes off the host, like he wasn't going. And I said that reminded me of some stuff that used to take place way back in the day when cats used to believe that pro wrestling was real. So salute to Grayson Waller for doing that. Like I said, I'm not on the bandwagon because he just reminds me too. He's an Australian version of The Miz. But again, if Triple H wanted to present him as, let me tell you something. Now, when he was in NXT, he was somewhat presentable. I'm going to be honest with you. No, I wasn't a fan of him on NXT, but I feel like he was being pushed better under Shawn Michaels' leadership more so than he is on the main roster. Because on the main roster, my man ain't done nothing. Therefore, I'm like, why the heck should I get behind the man? So anyway, we get to AJ Styles LA Knight later on. This is when Solo comes out of nowhere, spiking folks in the neck. And then this leads to Randy Orton and Solo. And with all the distractions going on, Roman pulled up out of nowhere. And that's when he came in to sign the contract. And then later on, Randy Orton did doggone tried to, he did. He successfully RKO'd Roman. So Roman was there. He was there the whole time. Like I said, all of this was just this. And then Jimmy had to play his role. This was just all a design. So pretty much we didn't have no match. It was just a disqualification at disqualification, just so Roman could come out there, quote unquote, sign the contract. So they basically trying to say everybody getting one up. But here's the deal. We still got one more week of build. They signed the contract. This is the final week of build coming up next Friday. Next Friday is the go home show. So that's that. So like I said, SmackDown, like I said, it was better than last week, but there's still a lot of things that they need to do to make the show feel like it's a upbeat, consistent show. Like everything needs to be on point. So I'm assuming next week is the go home show. It should be great. It should be, quote unquote. Now let me go ahead and talk about freaking Rampage right quick. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a second. And this man been killing it on Impact from what I'm saying. TNA. Rampage, where we at? Where's that? Rampage. All right. Now, I saw people online telling me, yo, you got to go out your way and watch these two go at it because it was the main event. Hardcore. It's like tables, cats flying through tables, cats. I mean, listen. Jeff Hardy is something else, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Hardy is something else. That's all I'm saying. And you already know about this cat right here. So a lot of people was absolutely ecstatic about some of the storylines that was actually taking place on Rampage. And I personally feel what Tony Khan needs to do with Rampage. He needs to really decipher. If Rampage is my third hour of Dynamite, I need things to doggone transpire from Dynamite and then go directly into Rampage. I get it. Jericho did set up a match with Matt Sydal, but unfortunately, Jericho is in a place right now where he does not need to be because of all the allegations and everything, and now him getting booed left and right. Now he has to be stuck on a show that's quote-unquote tape. Listen, the man shouldn't even be on TV right now. Till all this stuff gets squashed, till everything is out of the way, till we don't know nothing, till we know whatever we need to know. Jericho shouldn't be on TV. He shouldn't. I mean, if you taking your comment section off on Twitter, I mean, let that sink in. If you go to his page, you the only people that can comment is the people I guess that follow, but you got to quote tweet him or whatever. Matt Sydal, man, listen. Ever since the first episode he was on, or it was the pay-per-view, and he botched. Matt Sydal ain't done nothing. He ain't done no. He hasn't done anything in AEW, ladies and gentlemen. He has been that doggone. Like, you remember that botch that happened? I believe it happened at the pay-per-view. That botch that happened about 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. He hasn't done anything. I can say one of the major things that he used to do when he used to be in WWE land is when he was teaming with Kofi, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, then we get this matchup. We got Penta El Zero versus Anthony Henry squash match. Daddy Magic was on microphone, just rambling. So then now we got this backstage stuff. So this whole thing about Cool Ange and Ruby Soho, now with Saraya playing this devious evil woman, because that's basically who she is. And Ruby Soho knows something going down. And then they trying to blame Harley Cameron as she was the one that basically did the foolishness, that basically had my man's looking like a joke, basically quote unquote trying to cheat on Ruby Soho, because it feels like these two are actually trying to become an item, but Saraya does not want it to happen. So she's doing everything in her power. She's using Harley Cameron to quote unquote kiss that man, and even though that was all set up. So now you had Ruby basically choking the mess out of Harley Cameron and everything. All this is going to lead to Ruby versus Saraya. And I believe the matchup is going to take place at Revolution. If Tony Khan knows how to build up, if he can consistently tell compelling stories, fools might get invested in what he's trying to do. And from what I saw, a lot of people on the timeline said this is actually, they love it. People that don't even like AEW said that they liked it. Now, that just tells TK that he just had to do a better job of getting people invested. So then we had Chris Statlander versus, once again, they got my girl, yes, she signed, Queen Amata. I'm tired of seeing her on the show just to lose. That's all I'm telling you, all we do. We come on this show, we just be losing all day long. I'm tired of it, man. It was a decent matchup, but still, man, I'm like, they got this thing going on with Chris, Willow, and what's my man's name? Stokely Hathaway. There's a possibility that Chris might be turning heel, and that Stokely might become a manager, and Willow was late, but the reason why she was late because Stokely had made her ticket late. It's some weird stuff. So these two bickering back and forth. Chris told them to calm down and all this stuff. I'm like, it is what it is on that, So we get the main event. This might have been Jeff Hardy's best match in a very long time. Darby Allin was an excellent lead. These two throwing each other through doggone tables, bodies flying all over the place. I mean, just insane, crazy stuff. So after the matchup, Darby tried to shake up with him, tried to fist him. Jeff Hardy barely fisted him and just fell out the ring. There's some heel stuff about to happen with the Hardys because they got all kind of drama going on, especially the Mac. I don't know if y'all been peeping what's been going on, but it looked like him and Reba ain't looking like they're going to be hanging together for a very long time. It looked like Reba is really starting to be on some real silly stuff. She been posting foolishness on her TikTok about him having CTE, and I'm like this. Y'all got, 4 kids? Y'all got 4 kids, and you over here acting a fool. Now you want to climb. It's jacked up. The whole situation is jacked up, ladies and gentlemen. It is jacked up, man. But overall, solid night of wrestling. Like I said, it could always be better. I just want storylines to be the plot. Storylines should be the plot of Rampage. Storylines should be the plot of Smackdown. That is the number one thing for pro wrestling shows. Do you get decent? Oh, I forgot to talk about it. Jay Lethal and the doggone mid-card Memphis piece of crap society ain't going well. Him and Sanjay getting into it. Then you got my main man coming out of nowhere, Satnam Singh, and they pretty much trying to say, who the heck should we throw out? Should we throw out the Jarretts? Should we throw out Jeff? Should we throw out Karen? It's all kind of foolishness finna take place. This is basically Jay Lethal's story arc right now. Jay Lethal will no longer be with this group. That is basically what it's going to come down to. Now they just start things because, like I said, it's late. Jay Lethal said, I came here to win championship gold, and I ain't won nothing. I just been the doggone enhancement talent. That's basically what he's been. He's been nothing more than enhancement talent. That's it. So if TK can finally get behind Jay Lethal instead of every time I see him on TV losing all day long, maybe we got something. But that's it. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I said what I had to say. It went on for a very long time. I gave you my honest thoughts about SmackDown, my honest thoughts about Rampage. I told you what I felt about Mr. Seth Rollins' injury. And I'm about to get the clown up out of here because we got some doggone rigged NFL playoffs that just got started. I'll talk to y'all cats later. This your main man, Caseyville, King Self Life Wrestling Takes. I'm gone.